ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So today we are going to have the revision of the third chapter. In the last class, we, for the time being, concluded the study of the third chapter, sloka by sloka. So today we will have the synopsis of the entire chapter, what the entire chapter conveys, what's the message it conveys. So we will find that the third chapter starts with the Arjuna's confusion. What's the confusion? The first sloka, which mentions Jyayasi chit karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat king karmani ghore ma niyojayasi keshava. And the second sloka is Vyamis Srineva Vakyena Buddhing Mohayasiva me Tadekang Vada Nishchitya Yena Sreya Aham Apnuyam. So that after the deliberation in the second chapter, where we find that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is first expounding the Sankhya Yoga, where he opens up the spiritual dimension of our existence. That there is a dimension, a spiritual dimension, of which we are generally not aware. So first he opens up that, and he terms it as the Sankhya Yoga. This is termed as Sankhya Yoga. And then the second chapter he continues. What's the next phase? There he is speaking of Karma Yoga. First he is speaking of Jnana, that be aware of the spiritual dimension of our existence. Know this body-mind complex is just a flow, a passing phase. Behind that the eternal self is there, and that's our real nature. Be established in it. That's Sankhya Yoga. And then he starts speaking of the Karma Yoga, where he speaks of action, that as per your Swadharma, as per the conditions in which we are born, as per our temperament, as per the skills which we have developed, as per the professional skills which we have developed, the actions which you are doing is Swadharma. So perform your Swadharma, but with an attitude of neither seek nor avoid. Don't be too ambitious about the worldly goals. That with money, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, with money what we can have? We can have a shelter, we can have our food. That's okay. The basic, after you meet the basic necessities of life, think of the higher aspirations. So keep that in mind, but that this life is not the be-all and end-all of our existence. We have to go through our actions, but always keep that spiritual dimension in your mind, that you are the spiritual being. So without any that seeking, not be too ambitious, because this world is not going to give you any end purpose. At last it is a flow. Whatever the nature has given, it will take us, take away everything. Nothing is going to stay with us. So don't hold on to it. Don't hanker after the results. And at the same time, don't avoid. Neither seek nor avoid. Go on doing your action, always keeping your mind aligned to your spiritual goal. That you are the self. I have always to be aware of that fact. With this fact, with a detachment, with the idea that I am the witness of my body, of my mind, of all the actions which I am doing, of all the swadharma which I am performing. I am just a witness. I am not all these things. I am just a witness of it. With that attitude, go on working. And then Sri Krishna will, in the 49th sloka, where we will find in the second chapter, in the previous chapter, where Bhagavan is saying, Durena hyavarang karma buddhi yogat dhananjaya buddhau sharanam annicha kripana phalahetava. That buddhi yoga is better than karma. That when you perform, you just durena hyavarang karma, that karma is something lower. Buddhi yoga is something superior. So always resort to this buddhi yoga. The one who is desiring the results of action, he is a kripana. So when we were studying these slokas, we have tried to relate to these words. Who is a kripana? Who has a lot of wealth, but he never utilizes it. He never spends it. So what's our wealth? The self is our wealth. That's our treasure. That's always with us. But when we are seeking the results of action, we forget that we are the self. We start giving importance to something trivial. So that way, the treasure which is hidden within us doesn't find any expression, any manifestation through our life. And that's why the word kripana has been used, as if we are miserly. We are not utilizing the treasure which we have. We are not aware of it. Our life doesn't speak of the treasure which is hidden within the depth of our personality. So that's why we are kripana. So here we find, again, Bhagavan is saying as if that buddhi yoga is greater than ordinary karma. And now Arjuna is confused. First he speaks of the Sankhya yoga, then again he speaks of buddhi yoga, that karma yoga. Now when he uses the word karma yoga, Bhagavan uses the word buddhi yoga for karma yoga. And Arjuna is perplexed. He takes the buddhi yoga to be just the buddhi, that the intellect, where I am disintegrating my body-mind complex from the thought that I am the self. So Arjuna is perplexed. He takes that the buddhi, that nishchayatmika buddhi, that I am the self, to be the buddhi yoga. But Bhagavan has clarified that buddhi yoga is actually karma yoga. Because in the previously we have just seen that buddhi yoga is the karma yoga. That when you are doing the actions with that awareness that you are the self, you are in no way this flow, this body-mind complex, then what happens? That type of karma, instead of creating bondage, they become bondage breaking. They are not bondage creating karmas, they become bondage breaking. And then with this type of attitude, when you are doing action, then what happens is Sankhya yoga and buddhi yoga becomes complementary. They are not supplementary. That Sankhya yoga is something which I can choose apart from karma yoga. So Bhagavan have never mentioned that. He has always spoken of that be aware of your spiritual identity. With that awareness, do your action. As Sri Ramakrishna again and again saying, ek hate karma karo, ek hate Ishwarke dhore rakho. That hold on to God with one hand and with the other hand go on doing your action. When your action is over, then hold on to God with both your hands. So same idea we find here also. Bhagavan is saying that never forget that Sri Ramakrishna in a very simple language is giving that example. The child sometimes like to play. They will be whirling around a post, but they make it sure that they never lose hold of the post, because that will entail of their fall. They will get injured. Say always make it sure that hold the post and then they go on whirling. So go on whirling in this samsara. There is no way out. We have to. The nature will make us, but never lose the hold of the post. Get hold of it and then do it. Yes, when the time will permit, a time will come when these actions for me, my prarabdha is over. Then with both hands I hold on to God. But till then, let the action continue. Let me hold on to the post. But Arjuna somehow is confused, like most of us. In the name of spirituality, we forget most of us actually are resorting to some comfort zone, security zone. That when we find the actions are challenging, we feel that I have developed sufficient renunciation, let me renounce and resort to that Sankhya yoga, where I contemplate on the self and try to get rid of my desires, contemplate on the self, and that alone entails in liberation. Bhagavan has, of course, mentioned that Sankhya Yoga is also a way. And this is the confusion which not only Arjuna, we will find as a civilization for 1,000 years, the so-called Aryan civilization, the Hindu civilization. The Hindu is a word which came much later. We can say the Sanatana Dharma. This civilization went through the same bewilderment. For thousands of years, we will find somehow we developed that idea that karma is something which is not obligatory. We can leave it. Just for the bare necessity, whatever is required, we do. But our tendency should be to get rid of action and to lead a life of contemplation. And with that, we find that what happened, two things happened. We all will agree that Abhyudaya stopped. The entire civilization somehow became, was in a state of suspended animation. No development happened as per the social development is concerned for thousands of years. All the development which you see was in the past, in the Vedic age. But somehow, after the post-Buddhist era, with the idea that action is something not required, we can just simply leave off the action and resort to some life similar to sannyasa. That sannyasa was something which was considered the only ideal. That we leave all our actions and resort to that type of life. And then two things happen. One is the social, we find the stagnation. And another thing, that most of us are not up to that. We may feel that I am up to that. Like Arjuna also felt the same thing. That let me renounce everything. I don't need Rajyam, this kingdom. Let my brothers, my cousins enjoy it. I don't want all this enjoyment. I will resort to the life of a recluse. Most of us feel the same way. And we think it's a very high aspiration. But we find Bhagavan at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita is reprimanding Arjuna that I never thought that you will resort to such type of unmanliness. Klaivyam masmagama partha. But most of us do that. And we try to, and what happens then? As we are not up to it, we will be compromising in the name of religion. Even now, in the name of religion, if you see that India, it's vibrant with religion. But what religion means actually? There's the pure spirituality. How many people are resorting to it? It's mostly, you will find it's an aggrandizement. Lot of show-off thing is there. It's just like the models walking on the ramp. Like that, our spiritual gurus are walking on the ramp. People are crowding. Lot of projection. Lot of superstitions. The real value of religion, people forget. Lot of evil practices. So many scandals come out from this religion. Everything is happening. Why? Because we are not up to it. We think that we have developed that detachment. From where that thought comes, the challenges of life. From that we think, oh, this is too much, I will renounce. Actually, we forget, we are avoiding, we are seeking our comfort zone, we are seeking our security zone. We feel it's not real renunciation. Our mind is the biggest enemy of our own mind, is our biggest enemy. It befools us. It makes us think I have developed renunciation. I resort to it, and then I find that I am not up to it. And this idea of mithyachara will come, that we resort to some hypocrisy. So these two evils result when you say that action is not required at all. I need no action. I can lead a contemplative life. Know it for certain, all the evils starts building up then. So you'll find the Ramakrishna mission, when Swami Vivekananda formed it, the basic idea of Karma Yoga was that he, as a wandering monk, he was going around India. He found in the name of spirituality, the sadhus were either resorting to laziness or they have really fallen from their goal. They have resorted to some very heinous way of living. That laziness was very common. Even if they are not leading an immoral life, the basic thing was they easily resorted to laziness. That there are annashatras where you get food. So it's an easy way of living, you get the food, but the rest of the time you're doing nothing. One day Swami Vivekananda, when he was traveling in the Himalayas, he found a Swami, a monk, was as if meditating. He was fully covered with a blanket because it's very cold there, fully covered with blanket, and he was sitting. Swami Vivekananda, when he went near, he could hear that he's snoring. And Swami Turiyananda was accompanying him. Swami was enraged. He told, just see such a waste of human resource, such a waste of energy, that they have been brought up by the society, but at last neither they are progressing spiritually, nor they're doing anything for the society. They have to be kicked out from such type of meditation. That's the word he's using. So he was so enraged. So what's the idea that, and that's why that in mission he started that new type of a monastic organization where karma is very much prevalent. That of course you have your hours of meditation. When the first hospital was formed, Kalyananandaji formed the hospital in Kankhal. There's a hospital and there is a temple. That yes, in the morning you have to go to the temple, meditate. There are very interesting incidences. One day one brahmachari was going to the hospital and he was appearing to be very depressed. Whatever may be the reason, he was depressed. Kalyanandaji first was just started to joke with him that most probably the breakfast was not good. This poor breakfast, you are from a rich family, renounced, and just having these dry rotis and with a good. In those days, it's just a molasses, a piece of molasses and a good, that was the breakfast. So he was trying to just converse that way lightly so that his mood changes, but still his mood was not changed. But he was just coming behind Kalyanananda, he was accompanying him, we were going to the hospital. Before entering the hospital, Kalyanananda again looked at him. He found still that, that all that cloudy face, and now he reprimanded him. He strongly reprimanded. See that with this face, in no way you could enter the hospital. All the Narayana who are there suffering. This Narayana who are there suffering, they're already suffering. They're already suffering. They are in no way going to see this dull face. With this you can never enter. If you have to enter, whatever you feel inside, at least you should be smiling. That's the idea with which he asked them to enter. He told that it is not your, the cause of depression, that is primary. The one whom you are serving as Narayana, their interest is primary. Forget about that. Go and serve them. His interpretations were very nice. He used to say, you know what hospital means? But I never understood. The word hospital means it's a place of hospitality. Those who are there, they're suffering. You have to be just serve them through your hospitality. And what the word patient mean? The word patient means with whom you have to practice patience. They are already suffering, so you cannot expect that they will be really behaving good with you. Sometimes they can be very challenging. You have to practice patience. So this is the karma field. See, the total orientation is different. So it is not just simply karma. You are not going and doing action. You are seeing the Lord in the entire world. The idea will come here also in this third chapter. In the very beginning, the idea of yajna. That will come. That yajna is not just the fire sacrifice. This idea of yajna, with this you have to do your actions. So this is the thing, that if I don't resort to action, I resort to laziness, I resort to some evil practices, mithyachara comes into existence. So we find that it's not that easy. That just saying that I leave off karma, it's like Swami Vivekananda in the very beginning of the Isha Upanishad. Also, if you study the Isha Upanishad, these 18 slokas, many say, these 18 verses are 18 mantras of Isha Upanishad. They say are the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. The entire Isha Upanishad is actually the condensed form of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is actually a commentary of the Isha Upanishad. In Isha Upanishad, the same idea is there. The one who thinks that he is a jnani doesn't resort to action. He is also in darkness. The one who is acting as per his desires, he is in darkness. The one who thinks that I shouldn't act as per my desire, so I leave my action and always think of knowledge, he is also in still greater darkness. That's the word. This vidya and avidya, you will find the exact mantra in the 5th and the 6th mantra in the Ishopanishad comes. What is the way out? The one who has somehow synthesized between the vidya and avidya. What is the synthesis? The vidya, the idea that I am the self. What is the avidya? The karma aspect of that desire, action with desires. Take the karma. That you synthesize with this idea, and with this you work. So Isha Upanishad is actually the synopsis of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a commentary on that. So that's the idea which Bhagavad Gita is speaking. Even in the 2nd chapter, that's what Krishna intended to say. But we find Arjuna was confused. He thought Bhagavan first praised this Jnana Yoga, then again he extolled Karma Yoga, and again he told at last that Jnana is much better than Karma. Then he is saying that this word, that I am confused. Vyamistraneva vakyena buddhing mohaya sivame. That my buddhi is clouded, enshrouded by your vyamistraneva vakya, your contradictory statements. As if. But he words the use as if. This shows Arjuna's humility. That it appears to me, I know that you are an authority in this spiritual, as per the spiritual dimension of existence is concerned. You are the Lord God himself. So you cannot speak contradictory words, but with my limited intellect, I feel as if that eva word is very important. This vyami srena eva, that as if, that word is very important. The as if it appears to me that his words are confusing. And God understands that yes, like most of us, Arjuna is also deluded, because we all tend to think that only actions, this contemplation is a much better than action. Contemplation bereft of action. That's the way out. So here in this state we will find from the 4th to the 8th verse. Now the Bhagavan will start first with the idea that why action is imperative, is crucial in our life. Without action, we cannot resort to pure contemplative life. So he will actually in the 3rd chapter give 4 reasons. 4 reasons for that. Very interesting. This 3rd chapter is the science of karma yoga. 4 reasons why karma is imperative. Without karma, we cannot think of spiritual life. Karma has to be there in some form or other. The first is that nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishthatyam karma krit. Means without karma, means akarma means without karma, I cannot exist even for a moment. Our Swami Sunishthananda again and again gives that example, that when even a patient is in ICU in the coma state, coma means not yet full stop, coma means he's still continuing. So still, what's the sign of life? They will see there's the ECG graph or whatever, there is a monitor. If there is a variation, some curve is there, life is still there, some action is still going on. The moment it becomes straight line, yes, remove all the supports which you have kept, immediately they remove. That speaks of death. The moment it's a straight line. So even for that person who is in a coma state, still action, life without action is impossible. So we cannot exist even a moment without action. Whether we know it or not, for our sustenance, action has to go on. Your heart is beating, your respiration is going on, all these actions subconsciously is going on. Bhagavan in the even later chapter will say that our eyes will be winking constantly, unmishan, nimishan api. So constantly everything speaks of action. So we cannot live without action. So action is imperative. That's the first reason. Second reason in the 4th to 8th verse, he will speak the first 2 reasons, the reasons of the 4 reasons. Second is, you will be resorting to mithyachara. If you think, I will stop actions and resort to a life of contemplation, it will lead to mithyachara. Now mithyachara generally is translated as hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, that you cannot lead that type of life, we will make a show of it. Yes, that is in one sense correct, but many may feel offended. I am really sincerely trying. Why you say I am a hypocrite? So we will find that the Rishi Aurobindo has given a very nice meaning of the word mithyachara. Mithya achara means false attempt. Achara means your attempt. False. You are again and again you are trying, but you will fail. When you are trying, you constantly think that I will succeed, but again and again you fail. Again you are going round and round the same circle. That you think, I will resort to this contemplative life, I will get rid of the detachment and think only of the self, and you will find first your mind becomes your enemy, all the desires start crowding your mind, they distract you, they don't allow you to lead that contemplative life. You think, okay, again let me try. You go on trying, that today I failed, tomorrow I will succeed. So you will never succeed. This is mithya achara. In that sense, achara. Achara means some practice which is mithya, which is not going to yield any result. It will just be going round and round the same, this attempt and failure, attempt and failure. So he's saying that it will lead to mithyachara, the second reason, from 3rd to 8th verse. So these two reasons he speaks of. Then from the 9th to 16th he brings a wonderful concept of yajna. Now this yajna, originally in the Vedas, the idea of yajna was fire sacrifice. What's the idea? That all the devas in the Vedic age were the personification of nature. The rain god Varuna, there's the sun god, the Indra, the one who gives rain. Varuna is the wind. So all these are the personification of nature. Now, in the early Vedic age, they realized, our ancestors, they realized that nature can be very, that if it is not that calm, it can, instead of sustaining life, it can damage life, it can destroy. This flood can be there, cyclone can be there. So this nature has to be somehow appeased. They thought there's some persons, they are the personifications. And all the yajnas started with that idea of appeasing the nature, the personification of nature. What's the idea? That the fire moves up. Whatever you throw oblations, it moves up. These ideas may appear to be crude, but beyond that, some wonderful concepts finds expression. What's the idea? That fire moves up. So whatever oblations you're offering, this fire is as if taking them up. All the personifications of nature, the devas, they are the celestial beings. Where rain comes from above, the sun is there on the sky. It is all the celestial beings. They are all above. And it is a fire through the oblations, takes the oblations and it reaches them. So all the fire sacrifices you will find that develop to appease. There was some reason that I offer something, that fire was considered as the mouth of all the devas. It is the mouth of all the devas. Through that, all others devas are fed. So I feed the fire and it feeds all other devas. And they are that way appeased, they are satisfied with me, and then they will give me the appropriate amount of rain required, the stability for the earth. There is no earthquake, there is no cyclone. All the stability which we need for our existence, that the nature will ensure. So that's the idea. So what's the basic idea? Is actually the idea is give and take. Means give and receive. I am offering something. In turn, I am receiving. They are also showering me their blessing in the form of sustainable nature. So this is the idea, this limited idea of yajna we find is evolving. If you go to the Satapatha Brahmana, in Satapatha Brahmana, the idea of yajna has now become enlarged. That this entire nature, yajna is going on everywhere. In the Buddhism, there's the idea of interdependence, that no one can, just as a segregate entity, can exist. Constantly we have to interact with nature. That I still remember George Smoot, that he got Nobel Prize in physics for his research in black hole. He came to India, and in IIT Kharagpur there was a lecture arranged, and he wanted to meet the school students. So from all the local schools, with few students, with the high class students from 8 to 12, those high standard students, they were invited. So I also, from our school, from Midnapur, Ramakrishna Mission, we also visited with our students there, and he gave a nice deliberation on his research work. And after that, he opened up to the question answer session to all, that you can ask as students, you can ask whatever you feel like. So after the question answer session, again he himself started asking some questions. He asked a very funny question. That's the reason for which I'm just citing this incident which happened. That do you believe in aliens? So all were silent. And do you think it's there? Some told yes, it may be. Maybe the students immediately was a whispering, and some told yes, there should be some. There's such a huge universe. There must be some aliens. Have you seen aliens? Again there was silence. Would you like to see? There was a big yes. Yeah, we all want to see, all the students. And then George Smoot gave a very nice answer. He told you, go and stand in front of the mirror if you want to see the alien. And then he was saying very nice that you see that all the cells with which your body is constituted, after all, they are made up of so many minerals. At last, they are all elements. Carbon, traces of magnesium, there's so many phosphorus, so many things are there. Not a single of this element has been created on this earth. These all are stardust. You are all actually stardust. So, even in Sydney, I still remember when I was once crossing the Harbour Bridge, in a wall, there was a graffiti. Generally, graffitis are all illegitimate. You cannot understand what's written. But sometimes they write something very interesting. So there I saw that one sentence written there in the graffiti. Your mother is a star. So that was the sentence. Your mother is a star. Yes, our mother is a star. So in Bengali, you know that even the Shakti, the Tara, one Tara is there, even in Buddhism. Tara means star. So that what it speaks of. It speaks again of this interdependence, that where the stardust that is coming and that's finding expression as your body. When Krishna took a lump of soil, Yashoda came and wanted to just get it out from his mouth. And as he was not willing to throw it out, the mother forced. He just forced open the mouth, pressed the cheeks and forced open the mouth. And she saw the entire universe there, Vishwarup Darshana. And we think it's all mythological. But we don't have the eyes of Yashoda. That's the problem. If we have the eyes of Yashoda, we can also see the entire universe in a lump of soil. So where you get soil? Wherever there is life. If you go to the heart of the desert, there is no soil. It's all sand. How the soil forms? There's all the living, the trees and other living creatures, when they die, they decompose, mix up with the soil, and this decomposed all this living organism becomes living organism, at last gets converted in time into soil. So wherever soil is, life is. Wherever soil is, a tree is. Where the tree is, the sun is. Where the tree is, when the roots has gone down, it is taking water. There is water. The rain, you can see the rain, you can see the clouds, you can see the sun, you can see all the minerals. All the minerals through the roots, the plant is assimilating, and it gets nourished and it gets converting into the tree. So now, if you really have the eyes of Yashoda, in that lump of clay, you can see the tree, you can see the sun, you can see the entire atmosphere, you can see all the minerals, water, the entire universe is there in that lump of soil. It's all interdependent. That's the idea of yajna, which Bhagavan will bring as a third concept of karma. What he says is very interesting. Sahayagya praja srishtva. When the creation came into existence, the Lord created it along with yajna. It's a wonderful idea. See, this now idea of yajna has enlarged. It's not just the mere fire sacrifice. This give and take is going on everywhere. That is the law of nature. Without give and take, there cannot be any existence. You know that they say that rhythm is satyam. This Sanskrit word, sometimes we don't understand. Rhythm means truth. But it is not the absolute truth. The absolute truth, when finds expression as this universe is also true. Means it is this absolute has been projected as this universe. This projected universe as truth has been spoken of as rhythm. Why that word rhythm? This word rhythm is very interesting. You will find it's very similar to English word rhythm. Rhythm is very similar to rhythm. Rhythm speaks when the creation happened, when the absolute finds expression as the universe, the absolute finds expression as energy. This universe is nothing but energy, Shakti. And that Shakti again is not chaotic. It results in this creation where sustenance is there. And that happens because there is some rhythm, there are some laws working. So sitting here, we can just send a satellite to do soft landing on the Mars. How is it possible? Because there are some universal laws. I know the law of gravitation which works here, works anywhere in the universe. Based on that minute calculation, I can send the satellite to the Mars. Universal laws. This universe is not chaotic. There are all magnetic laws. See, in the physical world, you will find there are so many laws that speak of the rhythm of the universe. Similarly, in the thought level, in our so-called in the world of the values, there are some laws which can never be broken. The basic law is the law of interdependence. That's the idea of yajna. Saha yajna prajasishta. When he created the universe along with these laws, the energy which finds expression through these laws. So here, it is the yajna is the idea of this interdependence. And he gives that example that, you know that annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava yajyad bhavanti parjanyo yajna karma samudbhava karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmaksharat samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajna pratishtitam. So what's the idea of yajna? He's giving the example of a cycle. That anna, the food, that annad bhavanti bhutani, the entire creation comes from food. From where the food comes, the cereals, they come from rain, parjanya. From where the rain comes, yajna. Here he says, parjanya yajna karma samudbhava. From yajna, this rain comes. Even in India now we take it literally. Whenever there is drought, suddenly you will find a lot of yajnas going on. The idea, it will bring rain. Maybe to a certain extent it is correct. But can you think that the foolishness, we have cut all the trees, everything, and we do yajna and we get rain? It's utter foolishness. Here the idea of yajna has to be taken in that much enlarged idea. That, see, yajna is going on. Just if you have to really see where yajna, just see a tree. The maximum cloud is formed. Even the modern science will say is not because of evaporation. We think that 2/3 of the land is 2/3 of this earth's surface is ocean, is water. So even if the trees are not there, the waters will be evaporating. We will have clouds, we will have rain. Why the scientists are shouting that if the trees are not there, you don't get rain? Because in spite of this huge water body, from evaporation constitutes only 10% of the cloud formation. The 90% of the cloud forms because of the transpiration. From the leaves, the water is evaporating. That is the transpiration. That's this evapotranspiration from the plants. That constitutes the rain. So now you see the idea of yajna is afforestation here, actually. The yajna, from yajna comes your the rain. What's the yajna? These trees are example of the yajna. The rainfall which is falling, again it's from the ground, it is being sucked through the roots by the plants, from the leaves, again it is being taken back to the atmosphere in the form of clouds. This chakra is going on constantly. That's why Bhagavan will say that the one who doesn't understand this chakra, evang pravartitang chakram, nanu vartayatiyaya, aghayur indriya rama moghang parthasa jivati. That his life is in vain who is aware of this cycle. Just see that it's actually speaking of the present problem. That afforestation, yajna is not just the fire sacrifice. It speaks of this forest, the plants, where the yajna is going on. Be a part of it. Life cannot be without yajna. That what we are seeing in nature, even in our day-to-day life, yajna has to go on. Without yajna, because just see the mother taking care of the child, their yajna is going on. How? If the idea of your ego comes there, you will be suffering. But if you just try to see the mother's love from the true perspective, there cannot be any suffering in mother's love. What's the mother's love? Mother thinks she loves the child. But is it she loving the child? It's a big question. Throughout nature, every creature you will find has been planned by the divine in such a way that even the ferocious this lion, when they're taking care of the child, they're loving their child. That motherly love is everywhere. So when you say, I love my child, and bring that kartritva, the idea of that doer, that I am loving, we are doing the mistake. We forget that love has been implanted. It is the plan, divine plan of the universe. That love has been implanted in my heart. I am helpless. As a mother, I am bound to like the child. I am built in such a way. I cannot do anything otherwise. The entire creation, by seeing a poor man, you feel like giving something. The compassion wells up. You think, oh, it's my compassion. Is it your compassion? That I have been built in such a way that compassion wells up. I could have been created in such a way that I never feel for others. That feeling comes. That nowadays, even, that in biology they say our genes are altruistic. Previously they used to say our genes are selfish. Now they have started saying that our genes are altruistic. Somehow it is there within that we have to synergize with nature. That unless we are cooperating with nature, we don't exist. The Darwin's theory of evolution was understood in a very wrong perspective. That when Darwin spoke of that survival of that struggle for existence and survival of the fittest, that there is variation and there will be struggle for existence and the fittest will survive. Many understood it in a very, very limited way. That there are so many species, all are competing with each other, and who has actually evolved and equipped better, they survive, others are annihilated. It as if speaks of competition. Based on that idea, Nietzsche developed a philosophy. It's all very, very, it has so evil effects. That what's the Nietzsche's philosophy? That even among humans, there are so many races. There is variation. All are not equally equipped. Some are more equipped than the others. So, the evolution can be accelerated if somehow we can get rid of the less evolved species and have only the higher evolved species. That way, the evolution can be accelerated. And he started giving example. Just see all the old civilization, the Greek, the Roman, they were ferocious. They were cruel. They prospered. Their civilization prospered. The basic factor was cruelty. They were getting rid of all those who were so-called weak. See, prosperity comes through that competition, through that struggle. And when Swami Vivekananda was going through the West, he found this is the philosophy. That's why colonialization was there. That we are the more evolved race. We have the right, as if, to exploit others. Swami Vivekananda, when everyone was speaking of Western affluence, Swami Vivekananda in those days told that I am seeing the entire Western civilization is as if sitting on the tip of a volcano. No one thought there would be two world wars. And this Nietzsche's philosophy, which was so prevalent, there was so much of adamancy in that attitude that we are an evolved race. Swamiji found it is going to lead to a lot of destruction. And the Nietzsche, one of the greatest believer in the Nietzsche's philosophy is Hitler. Hitler is to believe in that philosophy, and that he came with the Aryan concept. annihilate that any other race which are not Aryan, because that is the most refined race, most evolved race. So this idea of everything came from that. So you will find this idea of competition, where it led. It was all because of the wrong understanding of the Darwin's theory. Now they have started understanding Darwin in a more correct way. They say that there is struggle for existence, but that doesn't mean that I have to compete with others. I have some deficiency, some other species have some deficiency. By synergizing, by cooperating, we can easily challenge nature, and that way we both can thrive. So that's the thing. This means the struggle happens, but not as fighting with each other. By cooperating. By cooperating, we are fighting with the nature, and that entails in win-win situation. That my deficiencies are taken care of by you, my deficiencies are taken care of by me. So this speaks of the win-win situation, the synergy. In those days, Swami Vivekananda gave a wonderful example. When he found that the Darwin's theory is misrepresented, he told evolution can never happen through this type of competition. He gave a very simple example. The example goes like that. Suppose in a theater, it's a full packed theater, some show is going on. And suddenly there's an announcement, there's a fire, you all vacate the hall. And immediately there's a chaos. Chaos, stampede, because all are trying to rush out of the hall. Many people die because of the stampede, and at last fire engulfs the hall. A few somehow could come out. Now Swami, after giving this example, said, do you think the one who came out are more evolved? It is by chance. Most probably they were sitting near the exit. Somehow they managed to came out. Does it really speak of evolution? No way. By chance they somehow came out. They may think I am more evolved. But actually, the real evolution, complete evolution would have happened. How? If after the announcement, all were calm, all thought, let us cooperate. How? Instead of trying to rush out, let us make a queue. Slowly let us come out of the hall. Most of them would have survived that panic, that fire, most of them. There wouldn't have been any casualties. So which is better evolution? There's such a simple example Swamiji is giving 100 years back. And that's the idea even in biology. Now they have started understanding that they have for evolution, they have started speaking of synergy. That without synergy, there cannot be any evolution. And that's the idea which Bhagavan brings next, that why karma is imperative. Because that entire nature has been built with the plan of interdependence. That's the idea of yajna. We all have to synergize through our actions. The mother, knowing well that the love has been implanted by the divine, now when she loves her child, that love becomes unselfish. How? When the child grows, she feels whatever I have to do for the child I have done. And there my work ends. I don't project my identity on the child. I have no expectations. All the suffering comes, why? I have done so much. Isn't it? But have I done really? The love was implanted. I was bound to do that way. So in this life, if you are doing that is the idea of yajna. The God has implanted, the altruistic gene is already within me. God has made me in such a way, I have to relate to the world through altruism, through empathy. And that entails in my action. But there it ends. I am just an instrument in the hand of the divine. Through me, God is working to sustain its creation. There my doership doesn't come into existence. My enjoyship doesn't come into existence. As when someone used to told Swami Ramakrishnananda, who did great work in South India in establishing most of the centers in South India, that what a great job you have done. Is it possible for a man to do such a huge, stupendous work in one life? Immediately his reply was, I am just a pen in the hand of the divine. Can a pen say, I have written so many books? He is the one who is the author, who was behind it. He is working through me. So just see how Bhagavan is bringing the idea of karma as imperative. That I cannot, the first reason was, I cannot stay without karma even for a moment. The second, if I try to live karma and just lead a contemplative life, it will lead to mithyachara. The third says it is the plan of the divine. The idea of yajna, that when he created this creation, he created with the idea of yajna, with the idea of interdependence. So you cannot get rid of it. You have to be a part of it. And then the fourth dimension, the reason he speaks, that okay, then after I go have that spiritual illumination, that through karma there is a chitta shuddhi, and I have a, through the chitta shuddhi it takes me to that, when the mind is, free from all the dross. In the chitta shuddhi ultimately results in the spiritual liberation, where I get established with myself. And once I realize myself, the action has to fall off. Then there is no need for action. I can afford the luxury of leading a pure contemplative life. There also Bhagavan is making karma imperative. That for loka samgraha, he is bringing the idea of loka sangraha. That if the most evolved human beings resort to actionlessness, they are considered as the role model. The entire society will follow them. And that will lead to the social stagnation. So for loka sangraha, for the integration of the society, for the welfare of the society, that atmana moksha jagat hita, that abhyudaya and nishreyasa both has to go together. Social upliftment and nishreyasa, your own spiritual liberation. So for loka sangraha, that the most evolved beings are always considered as the role model. Whatever you do, that others will follow. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say jokingly, that there was in a village, the zamindar, the rich landlord, that invited the entire village for a grand feast on some occasion. It was a grand feast. And now the so-called the elites, they were sitting in a particular section. And the commoners were all sitting in some other section. So now when the food was served, now there's the commoners, the so-called, the people who have never tasted all those delicacies. When something was about to be served, they have never seen such food. So they were a bit confused. Is it really some delicacy, or as we are all poor people, all the left outs he's giving to us? So there was a confusion. So these people told, wait. They just get up and see whether the same dish has been served to that section where the elites are sitting. If it has been served then you can serve it to us. It is not just something a West or something, it's a good. So it has been served to the elites. So that's how the society works, that the role models, if what they're doing, that the society follows. So from the concept of loka samgraha also, action is imperative. So in Bhagavad Gita we found very nicely that this Bhagavan states these 4 reasons. First, that we cannot stay without action, or for our sustenance action is a must. Second, the idea of mithyachar, if I just simply leave actions, I will be resorting to some false practices, some false belief. It is not going to lead me anywhere. The third is the idea of yajna. The world has been created with the idea of interdependence. You have to be a part of it by being an instrument of that divine plan. And the fourth is the idea of loka sangraha. After saying this, then Bhagavan will speak of the aim, the goal of karma yoga. In the 30th verse, he is saying, what's the entire karma yoga, that what we are bound to achieve through karma yoga. What's the goal? That has been spoken of. 3 things has been spoken of there. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yuddhasya vigatajvar. So 3 things. One is that nirashi, this relinquishing the desire to enjoy the results of action. So there's one, nirashi. I am having no desires for the results of enjoying the action. That's one, that I am not the bhokta, I am not the enjoyer. Then Vedanta, they say you are neither the karta nor the bhokta. The idea that you are the bhokta, that is being denied by saying that relinquishing the desire to enjoy the results of action. And then relinquishing the idea that I am the doer. It is the Lord who is working through me. I am not the doer. That is being spoken of by the idea nirmamo. I am not the doer. So nirmamo, nir ahankara. That I am not the doer. It is the Lord who is working through me. And another word has been used is adhyatma chetasa. The Lord who is the soul of my soul, who is residing in the core of my being. Always be aware of Him. It is He who is working through you. So that way you get rid of the idea of the doership, that I am not the karta. You are getting rid of the idea of enjoyership, the bhokta by nirashi, and renouncing or offering all actions to the Lord. Mai sarvani. If it is He who is working through me, why should I expect the result? When we are being asked by our, say a servant is working under the master, whatever master asked to do him, the results of the work is for the master. So here the same idea, they offer the results of the action to the Lord. It's not for me. It is He who is working through me to sustain His creation. I cannot enjoy. In any way, even in modern psychology they say, I cannot enjoy. In any way, it's not we are enjoying. The nature is fooling us constantly by giving us the sense that I am enjoying. I am not enjoying. In some other scope, we have previously also described that we are not the enjoyer. Even future also we will discuss. But here, that's the idea that you can never. We will find throughout your life the idea of enjoyment is an illusion. Whatever, just the joy remains, it doesn't remain. Whatever you enjoy, it goes. All the sensate pleasures. And you again feel like doing it. Well, again you are doing it, you forget. You always forget that it is going to give me happiness, but it won't stay. When we are again doing it, we always have the idea, oh, I'm going to get joy. Do you ever remember it won't stay long? We always think, oh, I'm going to get joy. So our memory by nature has been made selective. That we never remember that the joy is not going to be constant. It is going to fall off. We only think of that ecstasy. We forget the plateau. And you will always find there's more joy is in anticipation. When you are planning, I will do this. When you are already doing it, already you are bored. Because nature has tricked. It has, through your anticipation, it has motivated you to do it. Once you are doing it, there is no need for nature to give you any happiness. Nature uses the happiness as a tool to make you do something by which it is sustained. In no way it has any aim to really give you happiness. So we are neither the enjoyer, we are neither the doer. So this is the idea, that goal. So you have to, knowing this, being aware of this, you have to attain that goal. So be nirashi, be nirmamo, be adhyatma chetasa, and be that offer all the results of our actions to the Lord. Now so it's easier said than done. What's the modus operandi? What's the way out? So in 30 to 32, 30th to 32nd, he speaks this aim. This aim speaks of these three things. Become nirashi, be desireless, be nirmamo and adhyatma chetasa, be aware of yourself, who is the Lord who is working, and offer all the results of actions to the divine. But really how to do it? We find it's easier said than done. And for that, from the 33rd to the last, 43rd, so in these 11 slokas, he will speak of 3 steps by which we can attain that goal. We can gradually become desireless, we can become adhyatma chetasa, and we can become nirmamo, and we can offer the results of actions to the divine. What are the modus operandi? That first is, don't forsake your swadharma. That what nature has ordained you, in whatever situation of life you have been placed, that action you should go on doing desirelessly. How it will help? It will help to attenuate the so-called the desires. There are some basic desires. This ahara, nidra, maithuna. The taking food, sleep, and then procreation, as all the beings. These are something very basic. But we find that in the name of enjoyment, we get stuck in them. We get obsessed. So what's the way out? That our mind can never be free. If you keep it free, it has a tendency to go towards these basal impressions. So keep it engaged with swadharma, but at the same time do it desirelessly. So that way, all your impulses will be attenuated. Their strength will be reduced. That's the first step. So don't resort to paradharma. Swadharma will help you. How? Because your entire nature is inclined to the work which you are doing. Means in the modern days they say, follow your passions. That your profession, if your hobby is your profession, that's the best profession. So let your hobby be your profession, so that you enter into a state of flow. Easily your mind gets engaged in something which helps you to get rid of other distractions. That's the first. Second, now through this, when you attenuate, weaken the so-called the impulses. Now to certain extent you use your willpower, to certain extent. Willpower is important. If you know, in the nowadays, previously we used to think that IQ is important. They are saying no, it's delaying of gratification is important. The famous marshmallow experiment speaks of that. Even what to speak of spiritual goal, even in your day-to-day life, it's not your IQ. It's your delaying of the gratification that speaks of how you progress in life. The common experiment, we won't say in details. The thing is, if you offer a child a marshmallow, the child has a tendency, that they like it. And now, after giving it to him, you say, wait, I will come back after 10 minutes. Let this marshmallow be there on your plate. Just don't eat it and just wait. If after 10 minutes when I come back, it is still there, I will give you the second marshmallow. Now, all the child knows that if they wait for 10 minutes, they're going to get the second marshmallow. But they find 90% of the children fail. They will just immediately swallow it. They will just simply gulp it. Only a few could resist. The experiment doesn't end here. Those who conducted the experiment, they keep track on all the children on which this experiment was conducted. After 10 years, after 15 years, it has been found that those who had the capacity to delay their gratification, they could wait, they have excelled in life. And the basic reason behind it is they are not myopic. They are not short-sighted. They can never be somehow deluded by short-term gains. They are always aware of the long-term gains. So, as knowing the long-term gains, they can delay. And this is the basic thing for our progress in life. That renunciation doesn't speak something negative. It is a positive thing. That I am renouncing something trivial for something which is really precious. It is waiting for me in the long term. So that's why those who have the power to delay their gratification, they excel. So in spiritual life also, the same thing works here. That you have to delay or resist these already attenuated gratifications to a certain extent to calm down your mind. It is possible through willpower. And then the question comes, have I to fight always? No, you don't have to fight always. Just the example, you will remember we gave the example of fasting. When you are fasting throughout the day, from morning you start, next day morning only you will take food because night Shivaratri celebration is there. You will find in the lunch time you are terribly hungry. If you can somehow resist that, you may think that time that this hunger is going to be with me throughout the night. Those who fast, they know. For few hours you do feel the pangs of hunger, then it is gone. It's not there. Rest of the night, you do the puja with very light body and light mind. You have delayed your gratification. How it happened? The body has a feedback mechanism. The pangs of hunger is actually the body's alarm system. It is saying, it's time for food, you take. If you ignore it for the time being, the alarm system falls back. It fails. The pangs won't be there. Now, it's not that infinitely you will be fasting. You can continue for some more time. Why that fasting is there? So now, if I take food, I will feel dull. I cannot meditate. And if I don't take food, the pangs of hunger is there. But they discovered that for some time, the pangs of hunger can also be, and what you say that, be forgotten. The body's alarm system falls back when you just simply ignore it. For the time being, it collapses, it falls back. It gets tired. You're just constantly, the body is saying, take food, you don't take. Then the alarm system, that gets tired, that will be just resting for some time. And now your body is free. Your mind is free. Now you can concentrate. So use this willpower to calm down your mind, not to fight always. At the beginning, the fight is there. And then you will find your mind has calmed down. This all the basal instincts is not disturbing you. Then comes the real meditation. Before that, meditation can never happen. Your meditation will be, you will be again, our condition, Sri Ramakrishna once saw that a mongoose, some children mischievously have tied with a rope one small piece of brick on the tail of that mongoose. And the mongoose, whenever it's trying to climb the wall, it lives in a hole in the wall. When it's trying to climb, The moment it reaches near the hole, the brick pulls it down. The weight of the brick pulls it down. The way it will be pulling it down. So it cannot go to the hole. So Ramakrishna is saying that this brick is all tied to our tail. So these desires never allow your mind to enter the hole of contemplation. It never. Again, you will find that when you are trying to really contemplate, these all, the desires, these distractions, they will come and pull it down. So calm it down first. With Swadharma, you attenuate the desires, and then calm it down for them with the use of your willpower, and then Nishchayatmika Buddhi. Then go with that conviction that you are the self. Go to meditate. This will dissolve your ego. That I am the Atman, I am the Brahman, I am the Son of God. These are the ideas which is constantly hammering the ego. The ego which is the root cause of all our desires. I can take care of only those desires which are vyakta, which are manifested. But there are so many desires which are hidden in my mind. In future they will again come out. How to take care of them? Get rid of the ego. If I get rid of the ego with which all are hooked, they all fall off all at once. So this meditation takes the long-term effect. The other two, that's practicing Swadharma and practicing willpower, it has a short-term effect. Immediate it takes the effect by calming down my mind, but the long-term, to really go beyond the idea of this limited personality, that's Nishchayatmika Buddhi, that helps. So these three together, when you make it as a modus operandi, as your sadhana, then you can achieve that three goals which has been set by the Karma Yoga. That you become Nirashi, you become Adhyatma Cheta, you become Nirmamo, and all your actions you can offer it to the divine. So that's how our Bhagavan is giving this package of Karma Yoga. That why it is essential, it is not something a choice, it is imperative you have to do. 4 reasons he gave, and after that he gave the aim of Karma Yoga, and then at last he gives the way to achieve that aim. So with that he ends this 3rd chapter. So the next class we will start the next chapter, the 4th chapter. We will resume studying the 4th chapter. So with this we conclude our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.